was just chucking numbers. I wasn't getting satisfied. I wanted something that made me Sola. Yes, I can relate with him. Life sometimes, people see the other side of you and they think you're very fun, you're very okay, but then there are some battles you fight to even know who you really are.
So it's best to say, find what makes you you.
I've had women call to ask, are you married?
Okay.
How come the food is very good? Because I have kids who are akin to what I do. They are proud of it. I know that she's not proud of it, but she just feels that, okay, it's too elementary for you to do, until I tell her that's what pays your school fees.
Welcome to another episode of Bro Are You Okay? A podcast where we give men space, especially men in the creative industry, to talk about mental health, identity, and something in between. We're not here to fix anything, no. We're not here to fix everything. We're here to talk, we're here to listen, and we're here to feel seen. But before we go right into it, we have an anonymous message that we need to read. And I have a special guest here with me. So we're going to be reading it. We're going to be listening to it together. His name is Sola. I call him Mr. Sola because he's someone that I look up to. He's a chef and a content creator. And he has wild dogs. So let's get into the anonymous message first. Okay. And this person says, no, I'm not. That means he's not okay. I'm numb. Every day feels like a simulation. I hate my job, but I can't quit because it pays the bills. I can't seem to find someone to settle down with. Maybe that's not true. I know who I want to settle down with, but that ship sailed because I was not ready to settle down responsibly.
Is that a question for me to answer? Or
what do you think? I'm sure this person is going to be watching this podcast. Yeah. And what can you say to this person that feels like every day is a simulation? I mean, did you do full-time job? Did you have to work every day?
Yeah, I worked. I remember when I finished my university education and, I did my ACC. I'm a chartered accountant, by the way. So, yes, minus the food, I was quite a brainiac. And so I worked with KPMG in the UK. And then it was very, very crazy having to wake up 6:30 in the morning, to catch the train. And, it's for me, it was pedestral. I was just chucking numbers. I wasn't getting satisfied. I wanted something that made me Sola. I want something that I love to do, and for me, it was cooking. So yes, I can relate with him.
So what were you telling?
Life sometimes, people see the other side of you and they think you're very fine, you're very okay. But then there are some battles you fight to even know who you really are, what you want to do, what makes you happy. And I've always been an advocate for you doing what makes you happy. And so until you get to that point where you feel you're ready to, you probably feel this every morning when you're having your bath or when you're on the bathroom seat pressing your phone. People see the other side, they want to see you, but do you want to see yourself outside there yourself? And those are questions that will always pop up in your mind until you find that thing you love to do.
So it's best to say, find what makes you you and work towards it. Because I won't necessarily say quit your job. It's more like I would say use your current job to finance what you want to do.
Wait, let's not go to that route. For someone like me that run the restaurant right now, I was earning pretty much what was keeping me afloat. Okay. How many years would I have to save? To get something, to get enough capital to start something. So for me, I always feel sometimes it's good to take that risk. It's tough, but I'm not saying leave without, talk to your family members, your friends. You're about to take the step and check how much they want to stay or be with you in that process. For me, I left a very good paying job. I wasn't just happy with where I was at that point, and I had a bit of savings maybe. Then I started with the 500,000, I think 7-8 years ago, and kept on churning, hustling, putting the cents here, the advice here, the mommy please I'm broke money to it, and So yes, sometimes just plunge and don't look back.
And how did how did any of your family members take it when you were leaving KPMG for food?
Okay, my mother just called me, I remember that morning, 6:30. I'm like, Mom, why are you calling me at this time? Your brother told me that you want to start cooking now, that you're leaving your paid job. And I said to her, yes, ma. And she said to me, you were at my house last weekend, you ate my food, you didn't tell me about this. And I said to her that, it was me decision. I needed to, be where, I'm personally convinced that this is what I wanted to do. And that's Yoruba. And like people are, Gordon Ramsay was cooking very well. I trained in America when I was going to start this. And I just knew it was something I wanted to do. And my mom was like the biggest person that called me and, told me a lot of things. How are you going to fend for your family? Are you going to start doing, studying stuff, after after doing your accounting exams, you went to the best of schools and, it's food you want to sell. Hey, don't bother now. Keep working. Get people to do it for you. And I said to her, Mom, it's something I want to do personally. So, yeah, family members were the flag point. Then my friends that we all, go out together, do a lot of things. And Shala, the accountant that became Shala Lassie that used to call me. And for me, having to hang my suits, because I had a lot of Charles, TM Lewins. I used to, I like to shop to buy very good clothing. I had to transition from that guy that used to wear those suits to that guy behind an apron now cooking. And it was a lone journey, even though I had friends, I had family. But it was really practically my journey because, either I make it, if I don't make it, it's going to be like, people we told you now, Shiba Sofwan, those.
So that's like a motivating factor that.
So it kind of pushed me.
I can't go back. I don't want to insult from these people.
So that was it then, a couple of years ago, and it seemed like a lot of years back. But really, looking at how we've grown to where we are now, what we've done in the last 7 years, it gives me confidence to say that okay, I'm on the right track.
So. As being a man, did it give you an edge with the industry that you are in? Like, I mean, if anybody talks about cooking, the first thing they think about is a woman that is cooking, or is a woman that's supposed to be cooking. Mm-hmm. But now you being a man and doing a cooking business, did it give you an edge?
Okay, I'll say no. If I stand up now, I don't have big boobs. I'm sorry. My houses. I mean, there's no big, because I feel food can be sensual, as it is sensual and sexual. Because if a client calls you and it's a lady on the other line taking the orders, it's different because I want to know the person taking the order. So when somebody calls you and is a guy, what's he doing behind the phone? Maybe he's a receptionist, or maybe he's just the secretary or the manager. And so there's this natural barrier that you get because it is food, and traditionally ladies are meant to be the one to do the cooking. At the beginning, it was, but so I always make the food a testament. So by the time you make your order, if you taste it, and I've had women call to ask, "Oh, are you married? Wow, how come your food is very good? Are you the one? Are you sure you're not iron stuff?" No. If you want to come around, you can come around and see. So I think over time, I've been able to change that narration or that narrative that it has to be a woman before the food is good, before the service is good. Because you also know that women are quite finicky with packaging, But for us, we've been able to match, even do better than women now. Mm-hmm.
So much wisdom. I want to delve a bit.
Please do.
You're a father.
Yeah.
To 3 beautiful kids.
4
beautiful kids. I have one of them is my bestie. And how do they? Have you ever thought of how do they tell their friends that my dad cooks for a living?
Okay, so
have you ever thought of that before?
Oh yes, I have 2 spectrums. I have my daughter, which is your friend, who anytime I go to our school to pick her up, her friends are always shouting, "Hey, Muria's dad, or when are you going to send food?" Because often at times she takes my food to school. And I've had orders from my daughter's school friends, parents, and all that. And then I have another daughter who seems to be very posh and, "Daddy, why are you the one doing this? Get somebody else to do it for you. You can't be cooking." So, yes, even in my own house is divided because I have kids who are akin to what I do. They are proud of it. And not that she's not proud of it, but she just feels that, okay, it's too elementary for you to do. Until I tell her that's what pays your school fees. This, how much we pay in your school. So, until I take her back to that route, before she understands the fact that, well, this is what my father does. And so, and also at home, because there's always food, I don't think about food. So I think my business makes me from the get-go solve a problem at home, which is, having to have food every time, their friends come around. I've had parents of my kids, kids friend call to say thank you for the meal, and so it's mixed, but we are still in the business of doing good food. Whether my kids like it or not, this is what I do, and I try every day to translate what I do, with love, back to them. Then I'm always available for my kids. I think that's something I like because, when they come back, they see me in the morning, I get to have a chat with them while we walk and everything. So it's been a safe space for me to have good family time, good control, ability to sit down with them, find out what they've done in school. So yes, it's a big blessing. And
So you would say that you are a present dad?
well, I am to an extent. I also know I'm not to some extent because we do a lot of events as well. So often at times I'm out.
You're not around.
Not
But I mean,
around.
there's like the perfect balance.
Yeah, we
That
try to
you're around when you need to be.
when I need to be
And
around.
sometimes you're around.
Yeah, but there's sometimes the jobs are so,
So much, yeah.
that it's natural for me not to be around. And every time I sit down with them, talk, just play
Is your dad still alive?
Wow, my father passed when I was 11. A long
A
time
long
ago.
time ago. How did you feel about that? Like growing up, did you feel that gap?
Well,
Or you didn't know that there was a gap until you grew up?
I was 11. 11 is pretty much
Young.
young. But at that time, you could see what he was trying to do, even though we didn't have that sit out time with him because, his business was in Lagos. I was in Ogun State. So it was always shuttling between Lagos and Ogun State. We were 8 in number, and my father, had 2 wives. So, the attention,
Really
is
divided.
divided. Before it gets to me, maybe I'm already sleeping, so. But then today, if I was to summarize what he did, I'll say it was a good dad, but didn't have the freedom we have now with our kids.
Kids, yeah.
He couldn't express himself, because the primary responsibility for him was just to go and look for
Provide.
money and provide, and he passed on early doing that.
So is there a conversation that you wish you could have with your dad that you never did?
Like what we're having today, Daddy, how are you? Are you okay?
Are you okay?
How do you do it? We are 8, you have 2 wives. How do you manage to satisfy everybody?
Do you think things were easier then than now?
I wouldn't say so. A child is a child. Maybe then there was no social media, so you didn't have to buy phones and iPads and all that. Maybe that's one, and we're not exposed to a lot of things. But we're writing letters, committing crimes, stealing mangoes. So he had things to also sort out. But like he asked me, if I was to ask my dad today, I was asking the same question. Daddy, how did you survive? How did you do it? You come back home tired, but you still want to ask us how there was.
So apart from your dad, like, have you ever lost someone that is close to you before?
My stepmom.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
When was that?
2.5 years ago, she passed.
How did you deal with that?
It was painful because my mom was always on the road as well. She was running my dad's school, so my stepmom was my closest mom, and so I would go to her house to eat. And she taught me a lot of things about cooking. She taught me so many things about, growing up as a man. She had, 3 kids, and I was always in her house, in her flat, and I saw her like 2 weeks before she passed, and the same thing she told me when I was 4 years old, same thing she told me when I was 30 something, shall I be good? Life will throw you oranges, you just drink them the way you can. And so our living, took me months to recover to get over it.
I mean, I lost my grandmother a few months ago, and there's no day that passes or there's no day that comes that one thing doesn't remind me of her, because I mean, I grew up with her. And, it's so difficult I feel like it's this society or the environment generally makes it difficult for men to grieve.
Yeah.
And I remember on the day of the burial, I was crying, and my dad was like, "Are you not a man? Get yourself together." I'm like, it's there. So there are even times in the middle of the night I wake up and I'm crying because I still, it just still feels like, oh, it's just one of those months I've not gone to see her, that I will still go and see her. And I remember that she's not there anymore. And, it brings the conversation of, grieving as men. I feel like men should be allowed to cry all the cry that is inside your body. Let it out.
But for
When
me,
you are done,
for me, Misha, I mean, my closest daughter, you know, there were times where there was a particular customer I had that cancelled, you know, I had to refund like 6 million naira to the customer. And,
wow.
you know, I was on the dining table and she just came around and said, Daddy, what's going on with you? And, you know, as I was about to tell her, you know, I started to tear. And what she did was just to, you know, pull me close, Daddy, you can.
Aww.
I'm like, come on, get out of here, baby. But then I looked at it that, you know, my father couldn't do that.
Yeah.
With me.
He couldn't share that vulnerability in front of you guys.
You know, I told her everything that happened, the impact it's going to have on my business, you know, what I want to do to recover the money back. She was 11, but she's, you know, she started to listen, even though what I was saying didn't make any sense to her. But at that point, I felt somebody listened to me. And I keep saying to a couple of my friends, it's good to cry sometimes. It's good to talk to somebody. Yeah, you know, we're not God. And so even God also sometimes, you know, I'm sure looking at us now, it gets targeted. Look, who are these people? Who are these people who are, you know, have created? But, you know, just God also rested. I'm sure God was tired too. So everybody is allowed to get tired. You're allowed to think. You're allowed to reach out to your friends, your family, and, you know, lay it out on the table. People will say what they want to say. Even if you cry, if you don't cry, they'll still, you know, abuse you, say what they want to say. But why don't you just let it out, you know? Often I just go swimming. I just drive, you know, call a friend up, just, you know, bounce things off them.
Release that energy out.
And I go and eat pepper soup sometimes. Sometimes it's good to just, you know, find somewhere, just go and relax, you know, be in an area where you feel safe, you can talk. And talking, I don't think talking is a bad thing. I don't think letting out your vulnerability to people is a bad thing. But I also feel that, you know, you should be careful
of people you're vulnerable to.
You know,
yes.
You know, that information to, because it could come back, bouncing back at you, and you regret ever letting yourself go.
Of course.
When last did you cry?
When last did I cry? Last time I cried was maybe a few weeks after my grandmother's burial.
I mean, when last did you feel so bad about something that you called your friend and you just told your friend to give you a very good or?
I have a story.
Okay. Is it for this?
I will tell the story.
Okay.
And, you know, every time I think about it, I still feel very, very, very sad. And it's because of my career. There's this agency that invites me to events. And there was this event that was happening one time, and the event happens in weeks. I can't be able to mention the name of the event just to cover. And I got invited for one of the first weeks. And I got there, it was pretty empty. There were not a lot of familiar faces. You know, it was... Then we saw some people, I was like, yeah. We're like, no, they were not invited for this week, or they were invited for week 3. Mm-hmm. That's when everything is happening. It's like, okay, they didn't invite me for week 3. What's happening? And, you know, because I've been trying to build this persona and public image for myself, because, I mean, there are 1,001 photographers. How do you want to set yourself apart? I'm sure there are 500 photographers that can shoot like me. Do you understand? So that's why I started doing content creation, started doing lifestyle and influencing and all of that. So, fast forward after now, I knew someone that was going for the next one. So he was like, that he's traveling, that he should send his invite to me, that I should go. So he sent me his invite. I went. Now, there's someone on their team that we're kind of close. So I told her, well, fun now, that sent me invites for the program this day now. She was like, that she will look around and check, blah, 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 blah. But she never got back to me. So I already had this one, physical invite for that day. I dressed up. I went. I saw her at the entrance. Boy, you got an invite? I said, yes. Wow. You can go in. And as I was stepping in, one of the other staff walked out to me. What did the invite? And she was like, you're not invited for today. And she walked away. She snatched the invite from my hand, walked away. You see the distance from that place to the gate was like 5 years. Yeah. It was like the gate was moving farther as I was moving, and I was my head was just spinning. I could not even see straight. I just quickly ordered a ride to take me somewhere else. And immediately I entered inside the car, I just started shedding tears because I had never been that embarrassed in my life before. And, you know, I was just thinking that my presence at this event is not going to change anything. You just want it to be mean. Do you understand? I cried, though, because at the end of the day, that's when I felt like everything I had been doing was just worthless. That all this, I can just go back and be a normal photographer. Nobody would care. But I mean, I've already wasted so much time and energy. I've already put in so much time and energy into it. that's the last time I really, really cried. And I would not allow anybody to do that to me again. So if you snatch my invite the next time, I will slap you in the face. I'm
Collect
sorry,
it
I don't know who you
and
are. I'll call you and slap you back. But it was very embarrassing. I spoke to their boss about it. Even though she asked me to tell her who the person was.
That's how many years ago?
It's like, no, it happened last year. No. Yes, it happened last year.
I'm sure you've gotten so many gigs after that.
Of course.
Made more money and
yeah, so I mean, it's good if I feel like because a lot of us don't let it out and cry out, that's why there are lots of angry men outside. I think there are more angry men than angry women. Because I feel like women even cry.
We just don't talk. That's the simple truth.
There are a lot of aggressive men out there. And
right.
I feel like it's because they've not let out a lot of emotions. And it's the nearest person they see, they transfer the aggression on. You will be in the bus and maybe you mistakenly step on somebody. He's already shouting and screaming at you. Or they are transferring aggression on conductor. Or conductor is transferring aggression on people because maybe he hasn't provided for his wife and children at home. And all of that is affecting his
he just
brain.
lost his job and...
Do you get...
stuff.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for coming on my podcast. I have learned from you.
Are you sure?
Yes. I've learned. Now I know that you have been vulnerable in certain situations, and it's very, very inspiring that you have a daughter and you have been vulnerable to your daughter. You allow that to see that side of you, and it was a point of there was someone to listen to you speak. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Boye, for inviting us to come. But thanks.
If you are still watching, yes, you are watching, like, subscribe, share. I'm sure you have learned one or two things from my amazing guest, and we've been able to, touch one or two things as regards the anonymous message that we got. And that's it for this week's episode of Bro, Are You Okay?